Welcome to Call of Plastic. Our mission is to recon the Walker Bulldog M41 tank from Timmee. These guys are significantly larger than the M48 Pattons, featuring an elevated barrel, turret that rotates, hatch that opens to reveal a fixed gunner, rolling wheels, and a storage compartment in the back. These have the power to change the battlefield. Let's recon. These two puppies arrived in the area of operation at the same time, one in a cardboard box and the other in a plastic bag, and I was left to wonder which color would be in what. Now, does anyone want to take a guess which color is in which package? It definitely feels like there's a tank in the plastic bag, and there's definitely something of proportionate size in the cardboard box. Kind of sounds like a washing machine. And now, for the reveal, out of the plastic bag, here is the beautiful olive green tank. And it appears everything is inside. We have the decal sheet and a little bag of plastic army men underneath the treads. Take a look at the turret. Now you'll notice that the barrel here is drooping a little bit, but with time that actually came back up and straightened out. Now let's get to the tan tank. And here it is. Look at that. Gorgeous classic Timmee tan. And we can see, once again, everything is inside this bag here. One bag to rule them all. At the overview, we see everything laid out. These tanks come with a crew of 12. We have 6 stances and 2 soldiers per each. Assorted stances for the win. A decal sheet and instructional sheet of where the decal stickers go. And just a reminder, these are 2 separate sets, so you'll have to buy the tan set and the green set separately. These tanks are actually reproductions from Processed Plastics, and as you can see here, Processed Plastics logo is actually printed on the bottom of these tanks, which is really cool. They were first introduced around 1983 and were modeled after the M41 Walker Bulldog tank, but they were often described as an M60. We'll continue onward to the inspection lineup. The figures themselves are from a little bit earlier. They were first produced in the late 70s, and they were based off of SWAT officers. And their gear is actually indicative of the time. You had revolvers, flak jackets. We have a long rifle that looks to be perhaps based off of a Remington 700. There's a baton there on this guy that's running, and some of the figures have handcuffs on their backs. Your guy shooting this grenade launcher, that is perhaps for tear gas canisters. Then you have your shotgun guy here. That, I'm not sure, but that looks like a Remington 870 to me. And we'll take a look at the size comparison in a moment with other tanks, but this thing is scaled at 124, and it absolutely dwarfs the 148 Patton. These tanks are comprised of an HDPE plastic, so it's slightly stiff. So you can tell that this thing is really going to stand up to the demands of creative combat. From an aesthetics point of view, I typically like the matte finish on toy tanks, well, tanks in general. But there's something special about this shiny plastic that's featured here. It basically just has nice, shiny new toy written all over it. It looks like you just got it out of the car wash and you're ready to go for a Sunday drive. I really appreciate the attention given to the suspension system as well as to the treads here. Every tread is the same size, and then that carries on over to your hull and to the turret. You have crisp details along the tops and the sides here. For something that's meant to be played with as a toy, there's just a very nice amount of detail in this. And I think a lot of your younger commanders out there will definitely realize instantly that this thing is not like the rest. Now we're going to take a closer look at this set, and we'll start with the figures. They're scaled at 130, and they come in at a slightly larger size than your Timmees and BMC soldiers as seen here. We have a good amount of detailing in the clothing here. The fabric is wrinkled in the right places, and I'm definitely getting a lot of 70s vibes from the equipment that I'm seeing. Those flak jackets that the SWAT officers wore during that time period were sometimes surplus from the Vietnam era. And one amount of detail here that makes a lot of sense is you see this figure has his revolver drawn, and when you look at his holster, there's nothing in it. Small details like that can get overlooked. Here we have the long rifleman. We'll say he's the sharpshooter for the squad, and that does look like a Remington 700 in my opinion there. And simple handcuffs along the back there. You can see, certainly, the amount of gear they had back then was a lot slimmer. From this angle here, we can see that he's slightly larger than his Timmee counterpart, the Timmee being scaled at 135. The BMC Marine is slightly closer in size. Of course, the BMCs are scaled at 132, so it is a little bit closer to the 130. And for comparison's sake, we'll take a look at the Timmee machine gunner next to your long rifleman. Here's a good representation of the height difference between your tan police officer and your green melee troop. It looks to me if the green soldier was able to stand straight up and straighten his legs out, he might get a little bit closer to matching the police officer's height, but then again, he's still a lot slimmer looking. Let's take a look at the size comparison between the figures and the tanks. With most sets, tanks are nowhere near as intimidating as they should be and as they would be on the battlefield. The size of these tanks when compared to these soldiers just screams, oh crap. If you're an army man, say if you're a tan army man and you see a green tank roll up on you, that's the size of the M41 here, holy crap, you better call for backup. And vice versa. If you're green and you see one of these tan tanks roll up in the backyard, oh crap. The Patton tanks come in at a 148 scale, and then you have these Bulldogs that just blow them out of the water at 124. It looks like the Bulldogs could just drive right over the Pattons. Between the Pattons and the BMC models, look, the BMC sizes are very impressive when they're compared next to the Pattons. You can tell they're much larger. But then the Bulldogs go a step further, and they're even larger than the BMC tanks. And that's what I mean, that these tanks, when presented in the backyard battlefield, they are going to bring a psychological effect to either the good guys or the bad guys. It's either going to boost morale or the morale is going to plummet. Let's take a closer look. Here we have an impressive amount of detailing along the hull and the turret. There's detailing that goes along the side skirts, such as equipment and other panel pieces. And then the one thing I always mention about these Timmee tank models is that the hull has a very clean top, and that allows for the turret to spin freely. There's no snags or hiccups there. Here we see a series of vents, and that's where the radiator is at. But of course, on this model, there's nothing in there. This is the hatch where you can store your army men. They have to be arranged just so, but you can get them all in there. The hatch will close, but as you can see here, it doesn't go all the way down, so maybe I need to work on rearranging the guys in there just a little bit better. So we head back up top, and we take a look at the turret. Here we see the commander's cupola, and this hatch opens up, and it reveals a soldier on the inside. Size-wise, he is a little bit larger than the figures, and he is stationary in there, so he's got a solid platform so he doesn't move. We move on to the green tank. The same amount of detailing is present here as well. You can see a clean turret design. And this is what I love here. The barrel can be elevated up or down. Looks like it goes to about your level position, and then it can be rotated up where it'll actually stay in place. And also you can see the barrel straightened itself out. Now, in this configuration, this actually reminds me of the Merkava tank. When you take the turret and turn it around, the Merkava tank on the Israeli side put the engine front facing, and that was for crew survivability. We'll take a look underneath. We have wheels that roll. Those roll very easily. The turret is snapped into place. It looks like we have a type of a lock washer there. That component is metal, so you want to make sure that gets dry. This plastic, it's very firm. It doesn't feel brittle, but it is firm enough to withstand some abuse. Here's a look at the storage compartment for this green guy here, as well as the open hatch. Lights along the front, as well as little port windows for the driver. Just a clean design. I like it a lot. All objectives have been met. Mission accomplished. Once again, this was the M41 Walker Bulldog tanks. Thank you, Timmee, so much for bringing a lot of these classics back. And believe it or not, there is one that is larger than these. If you found this review helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. For Call of Plastic, I'm Bill Greenwater. We'll see you soon.